Ambazonia, my fellow brave warriors of the southern Cameroon's liberation struggle. Accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro, this Sunday, the 13th of April, 2025. Today is Palm Sunday, and I want to wish Happy Palm Sunday to all Christians as we continue to observe the period of Lent. My dear people, I'm coming today to take a rare opportunity to remind each and every one of us that the fight that we are engaged in is a very big one, and that what we are targeting is just so awesome, so precious, so great that we really cannot draw back. And I'm talking today in the backdrop of the US government announcing that they are terminating the TPS for Cameroon, the temporary protected status. And this definitely is going to affect a lot of our people. You have seen the numbers in the thousands. We need to pray for our people. We need to work really hard to make sure we secure homeland. Because as I've said here, over and over and over again, there is no place like home. We have observed this far that even those naturalizations, those foreign citizenships that we have, are paper citizenships, and they can also be taken at any time. So we can never really pride ourselves so much when we're in another man's land. Because the people in this land fought extremely hard to make their countries what they are, to make their countries enviable. They sacrificed, they stood up against evil. A good lot of them even paid with their blood for what they're enjoying today. This is the time for us as Southern Cameroonians, as Ambazonians, to understand that we have to put in our all to fight for homeland. Sometimes I almost have the feeling that I'm preaching in the wilderness because quite some of us have hardened our hearts to the point where we say, because I was hurt by this struggle yesterday, because this or that thing happened yesterday, I really can't return to the fold, or I can't do what I'm supposed to do. My dear people of Amazonia, our people on ground zero are not giving up. Our people in our various village communities are still contributing financially and otherwise, observing the ghost towns, respecting all the guidelines given to them by actors in this liberation movement. Our people are still being tortured by the day. I mean, tortured, yet they remain resilient. Why should you and I not? When we're even in safe harbors, in safe shores. I've come here. I scream. I know you're watching me now. You're shaking your head. When I say, go on quickly, put in some contribution. Let's strengthen the activities of our foot soldiers on the ground who are moving from community to community and helping to build synergy between the population and the freedom fighters. You laugh at me, you mock at me, say he's certainly looking for money to help himself. Today is Palm Sunday. As you're watching me, pick your phone, put in your $20, put in your $10, put in your $50, put in your $15. This money will help tremendously to strengthen the fundamentals of our liberation movement. Don't tell me that you were hurt before, you have been so frustrated, or you contributed money and people ate and all of those. Life hasn't got to stop at that. My dear people of Ambazonia, I take this moment to reiterate that what we are involved in It's a fight for our very existence. It's a fight for our very existence. Ask yourself now, these are brethren that are likely to be shipped back home. What is going to be their fate? What are they going to? What are they getting back into? Ask yourself this question. These are our brethren. Some may not be shipped even directly home. You saw one of our sisters in Panama, lost, confused, not knowing what else to do. But she dared not talk about, please take me back home. This is why we have to fight and fight and fight like hell to restore the soul of our land, to take back our country, to make it a place to be. My dear people of Ambazonia, when we take back our country and reinstitute the kind of governance that we knew prior to 1961, where we put people first, where we program, where we plan our development in advance, where we organize our cities, where we put the youth at the center of every single policy, where we create opportunities for people to prosper, to create wealth and blossom in our land. You see, this is not happening only in the United States of America. In Western Europe, a lot of countries who have got up and they are beginning to tighten their immigration policies. Where will we go to if we don't fight so hard to secure our homeland? Look at across the River Mungo. The lost souls of La République du Cameroon are vying seriously for their ancient of days to take 7 more years. Even when 98% of the time he doesn't even know where he is. Is that what we want for ourselves? I want us to take a moment and watch this video. We will watch it together, at the end of which I will come back and will do a brief comment. I want you to take a glimpse into what should really be our southern Cameroons, our Ambazonia, when we kick La République du Cameroon out of it. Let's watch this experience. Let's hear this experience, the Traore experience in Burkina Faso, at the end of which we will draw lessons from it together right here. It's a bit long, but this is Sunday. It's Palm Sunday. As we sit home, let's take a moment. There is so much that we'll be able to tap from it. Let's watch.
It was a quiet morning in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traore, known for his simplicity and closeness to the people, had decided to walk alone through the city center after a meeting at the presidential palace. He enjoyed these moments of reflection, away from the formalities of office, where he could directly observe the realities lived by his people. As he passed through a busy square, something caught his attention. Under the shade of a tree, an elderly man dressed in worn-out clothes sat on a makeshift bench made from wooden boxes. He held an old book in his hands, carefully reading each page while ignoring the chaotic sounds around him. Traore frowned, feeling that something about the man seemed familiar. As he approached discreetly, he realized who it was. Professor Ndama, his old high school philosophy teacher, the man who had inspired generations of young Burkinabés to dream big and seek social justice, was now here, living on the streets. Traore's heart sank. He vividly remembered Ndama's lessons on ethics, dignity, and the value of human beings. Professor Ndama, he called softly, his voice thick with emotion. The elderly man looked up from the book, surprised. When he recognized Traore, his eyes filled with tears. He tried to get up quickly, but his legs were shaking with weakness. Traore ran to help him, holding him gently by the arms. "Mr. President," Adama murmured, visibly embarrassed. I didn't expect to find you here. Don't call me president, replied Traore firmly and tenderly. For me, you will always be my teacher. Adama shook his head, trying to hide the tears. Things have changed a lot since those times, Ibrahim. I am no longer the man you knew. You will never stop being the man who taught me the value of dignity, said Traore, holding the professor's wrinkled hands. But how did this happen? How did you get here? Adama hesitated for a moment before responding. My house was taken over by debt. My pension is insufficient to cover the costs of living these days. I tried to continue teaching privately, but my health, well, it doesn't allow it anymore. Traore listened in silence, feeling a mixture of anger and sadness rising within him. He knew that stories like Adama's were more common than he would like to admit. Many of the teachers who dedicated their lives to the country's education were being forgotten by the system. Come with me, said Traore, helping Adama to his feet. Let's talk somewhere more comfortable. Ibrahim Traore, still deeply moved by seeing his former teacher Adama living on the streets, helped the elderly man to his feet and led him to an official car that was waiting near the square. He knew this wasn't just a casual encounter. It was an opportunity to reflect on the social inequalities that still persist in Burkina Faso, despite recent advances. On the way to a small local bank where he used to resolve personal issues, Traore decided to use his position to initiate significant change. He asked the driver to stop in front of the bank, where he entered, accompanied by Adama. The bank manager, a young, well-dressed man named Sosten, was visibly surprised to see the president enter, especially accompanied by someone so simply dressed. Mr. President, said Sosten, hurrying to greet him, it is an unexpected honor to have you here. How may I help you? Traore indicated Adama with a soft gesture. This is Professor Adama, my former master. He was one of the pillars of education in our country, inspiring entire generations. Today, he is here with us because we need to correct something that has been wrong for a long time. Sosten frowned, confused. Of course, Mr. President. But how can I help you exactly? Traore looked directly into the manager's eyes, his voice firm and full of purpose. I want you to open a special account for the retired teachers of Burkina Faso, an account that ensures they never again have to go through the hardships Professor Adama faced. And I want that to start today. The manager hesitated for a moment, clearly concerned about the logistical and financial aspects of the proposal, but upon seeing the determination on Traore's face, he quickly nodded. Yes, Mr. President, we will make it happen. Adama, who until then had remained silent, finally spoke. Mr. President, I don't know what to say. I don't deserve all this. Traore placed a hand on the teacher's shoulder, his eyes shining with emotion. You deserve better than this, Professor. You dedicated your life to forming minds and hearts. Now it's our turn to take care of you. While Sosten began working on the bureaucratic details, Traore sat next to Adama on a simple sofa on the bench. He realized this wasn't just about a teacher, it was about all the unsung heroes who had built the country. Professor, said Traore, his voice soft but full of conviction, you taught me that true wealth lies in knowledge and dignity. Today, we are taking one small step to ensure that others like you can also live with dignity. Adama shook his head slowly, his hands shaking as he held onto the cap he was wearing. "I always knew you would do great things, Ibrahim, but I never imagined it would be like this, so human, so present." Traore smiled, remembering the lessons he had learned from Adama decades ago. "I learned from the best, Professor, and now it's time to give what I learned back to our people." Meanwhile, news of Traore's surprise visit to the bank quickly began to circulate around the city. Employees and customers present discreetly filmed the moment, sharing it on social media. Hashtags such as Dignidade para os professores and Seu Traore e professores began to go viral, inspiring debates about the value of education and the treatment given to retired educators. At the end of the meeting, Sosten presented a preliminary plan for Traore. "Mr. President, we will create a special account for retired teachers with additional government-funded benefits. We will also review current pensions to ensure no one is left behind." Traore nodded, satisfied. "This is just the beginning. I want this initiative to be expanded nationwide. Every teacher deserves to be recognized for their work." Adama, still emotional, slowly stood up. "Mr. President, I only have one thing to say: thank you. Not just for me, but for all of us." Traore hugged the teacher tenderly. "Thank you, Professor, for everything." Ibrahim Traore's initiative to create a special account for retired teachers quickly gained national attention. The story of meeting his former teacher Adama, who had been found on the streets, deeply touched the hearts of the Burkinabés. Within hours, videos and photos of Traore's visit to the bank went viral on social media, generating a wave of solidarity and admiration for the president. Hashtags such as Dignidade para os professores and a Traore professores began to circulate widely, highlighting the importance of valuing those who dedicated their lives to education. Many citizens shared personal stories about teachers who inspired them, while others called for similar measures for other neglected categories, such as nurses and elderly farmers. During a press conference at the presidential palace, Traore spoke directly to the people of Burkina Faso. He was surrounded by retired teachers, including Adama, who was now wearing new clothes and looked visibly healthier after receiving medical and dietary care. "Professor Adama," Traore said, his voice cracking with emotion, "is not just a man. He is a symbol of everything that is wrong with our current system. A country that does not value its educators is destined to fail, and this cannot continue." He announced that the government would launch a comprehensive program called Appreciation of Unsung Heroes, aimed at ensuring that all people who contributed to the country's development received the recognition and support they deserved. "We're not just talking about teachers," he explained. "We're talking about nurses, farmers, factory workers, all those who built this country with their hands and minds. They deserve our gratitude, our respect, and above all, our protection." The audience applauded enthusiastically, while tears ran down the faces of many present. Adama, sitting next to Traore, slowly rose to speak. "Mr. President," he said, his voice shaky but firm, "what you are doing today is more than policy. It is an act of love for our people, and I know it will change lives just as it changed mine." In the following days, the Valuation of Anonymous Heroes program began to be implemented across the country. Retired teachers began receiving additional benefits, while mobile medical teams were sent to rural areas to care for the elderly who had been forgotten by the system. In a small village in the interior of Burkina Faso, a retired teacher named Fatou was one of the program's first beneficiaries. She received a revised pension and free health care, something she had never imagined possible. "I have always taught my students that education is the key to the future," she said during an interview with a local broadcaster. "But I never imagined that someone would remember me when I needed help. Thank you, President Traore, for giving us back our dignity." Meanwhile, international media also began to highlight Traore's initiative as a powerful example of humanitarian leadership. Newspapers and magazines published articles praising the president for his ability to transform personal moments into meaningful public policy. Traore is not just governing a country, he is restoring the soul of a nation, wrote a columnist. For The Guardian, his commitment to dignity and equality is a lesson for leaders around the world. In the months following the implementation of the Valuing Unsung Heroes program, Burkina Faso began to experience a profound transformation in its society. The initiative not only improved the quality of life of thousands of elderly people, but also awakened a feeling of pride and gratitude among the entire population. People who previously felt forgotten by the system now had their voices heard and their needs met. During a special ceremony organized in the center of Ouagadougou, hundreds of people gathered to celebrate the progress made by the program. Among those present were retired teachers, elderly nurses, veteran farmers, and even young students who had been inspired by the stories of these unsung heroes. Ibrahim Traore took the stage simply, wearing traditional Burkinabe clothes. He looked out at the crowd, visibly moved to see so many people whose lives had been transformed by the program. "Today," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "we are not here just to celebrate numbers or public policies. We are here to honor those who built this country with their hands and minds. You are the true pillars of Burkina Faso." He paused, allowing his words to sink in before continuing. "When I met Professor Adama on the streets of our capital, I asked myself how we allowed this to happen. How did we let our heroes be forgotten? But today I see that we are righting that wrong, and this is just the beginning." Adama, sitting in the front row, slowly stood up to speak. He walked to the microphone with difficulty, but his eyes shone with pride. "Mr. President," he said, his voice shaky but firm, "you have given us back something we thought we had lost forever. Our dignity, and most importantly, you have shown us that a leader must be, above all, human." The audience erupted in applause, while tears ran down the faces of many present. Traore hugged Adama warmly, knowing that this was more than a political moment. It was a testament to the power of compassion and genuine leadership. At the end of the ceremony, a child gave Traore a small gift, a handmade notebook with a traditional African fabric cover. Inside it was written, "Heroes never die, they live in our hearts." Traore smiled, keeping the gift with him. He knew this was more than just a memory. It was a reminder that every act of kindness could create big changes. As the crowd began to disperse, Traore walked up to Adama and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Teacher," he said softly, "you were my guide when I was young. Now you continue to be my guide, showing the world what really matters." Adama smiled, his eyes shining with excitement. And you, Ibrahim, are proof that a student can become greater than his master. You are changing our country, and I couldn't be more proud. Traore and Adama's story quickly became a global symbol of how compassion and respect can transform lives. For many, this was more than a political triumph. It was a demonstration that genuine leadership involves recognizing the value of each individual and acting with humility and purpose. Observing the scene, a journalist wrote in his notebook, "Today, in Burkina Faso, I saw the future of an Africa that values its history, honors its heroes, and builds bridges of dignity for all."
My dear people of Ambazonia, this is a very interesting and very moving account. I don't own the copyright to it, but when I followed the story, I said, when I listened to it, I said, our people need to hear this. You hear the key words, the key takeaways from this about 18-minute long rendition of the actions and works of Ibrahim Traore. Compassion and respect. That is what we don't have in Ambazonia right now. That is what we don't have in our community right now. With the incursions from La République du Cameroon. Humility does not exist. That's why you see that even our own sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, cousins, are recruited into the military of La République du Cameroon. And in the words of Police Superintendent Albert Leopold Ebene, come back to kill their own parents, to destroy their own communities, to flock and dehumanize their own people. This is what we are witnessing in Ambazonia. Here, purpose. There is nothing being done right now, like we do to Cameroon present in our land, that has any sense of purpose in the right direction, in making people hope for a better life. On the contrary, all what is being done is subjugation, is dehumanization, is government-sponsored terrorism, is extortion, is looting, rape, rampant killing, collective punishment. That is what our people are subjected to on a daily basis. Talking about values, historical values, oh no. We are made to believe that history started and will end with Paul Biya. That is what it is. You recall the very disgusting video in which we saw police officers of La République du Cameroon go take down a statue of Foncha that a benevolent fellow produced and put up because he said some of these heroes were lacking in recognition. And you saw the police came, broke it, and put a rope around the neck of the statue and were pulling on the ground around the city of Douala. That symbolism tells you the level to which we have been smashed. My dear people of Ambazonia, this story, I'm meant to bring it here to remind people of exactly what we will do and can do once we take back our country. When we take power back to the people, where we will practice total what they call real decentralization, where in every community people will be empowered to decide and determine their own development priorities, where people will be treated with respect and dignity, where our retirees, our old people, will be made to enjoy their last days in this world and tell themselves it was worth the while begetting us as children. A country where we will promote self-reliant initiatives. A country where we will create a wealth of opportunities, where people who have knowledge in whatever field will be assisted to develop that knowledge, where we will ensure that our agriculture is given the boost it deserves. Don't forget that a lot of La République du Cameroon lives on the food that comes from our land, especially from the grass field. Don't forget that La République du Cameroon is thriving on cash crops and other natural resources that they get from our land, especially from the forest zone. My dear people of Ambazonia, this is an ultimate call on all those who are sleeping, get up from that slumber. This is an ultimate call on all those who are feeling discouraged, come back to the fold, because the other option is just not imaginable. And for those who are moving around throwing useless talk like some people want to depend on others and all whatnot, you hear us talk about the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, which means that no part of the country will be exploited by the other, because people will be allowed to manage their own resources locally and to decide what areas of development they want to focus on. The central government's role will only be like the central government's role in every other democracy which is functioning using the federal approach. We are seeing that in Canada. We are seeing that in the United States of America, where they are really fully operational. We're also seeing it in neighboring Nigeria, where at least to some extent the states are able to determine their own development priorities. My people of Ambazonia, as we reflect on this video, on the works and attitudes of Ibrahim Traore, one thing should come to our mind: that it is possible for power to be given a human touch. When you think of the people's dignity, and that would lead to things. Burkina Faso under Traore is not taking any loans either from the World Bank or from the International Monetary Fund (IMF), or even from the African Development Bank. Traore is working with the people locally to use the resources that they can generate, limiting waste and ensuring that they renegotiate contracts with all multinational organizations, all multinational companies, entities doing business in Burkina Faso, to ensure that they are giving the people's fair share, which they now use and translate into the development of the country. Look at the situation that we find ourselves in. I want to take just telecommunications. Look at what Orange and MTN are doing to our people. Are you on ground zero? You put data for 1,000 francs, you can't communicate with it for 3 hours. By the time you send one or two messages or do one or two downloads, you start getting an announcement that it's finished, and they told you it was 1 gigabyte. You suddenly get up and you are charged for apps you never downloaded, charged for services you never requested. And this is done with the complicity of a company put in place to watch over them, the Telecommunications Regulatory Agency, what they call ART, Agence de Régulation des Télécommunications. Telecommunication in Cameroon is about the most expensive everywhere in the world. Why? Because the whole system is set up to extort from the people. At the end of the year, you hear MTN that is unable to make the people have fluid communications. Constant network problems. You put data 5 gigabytes, you are not even able to communicate with it. By next day, it is gone. You are not able to communicate because of network issues. Yet at the end of the year, MTN tells you they made profits of 11 billion. Same thing with Orange. Same thing with Nextel. This is not what we want our country to be like. We want a country where the government in place cares about the interests of the people, not conniving with foreign companies to dupe the people. My dear people of Ambazonia, on this Palm Sunday, as we reflect on this, I want us to note that we have one way only. It is the hard way, and it is the only way, that is to fight for our freedom. Don't just look at me in exasperation. Yes, you can do it. Pick your phone, use PayPal, use Zelle. Support this liberation movement. We need to take back our country. We need to take back homeland. We need our home. We need to have back our place where we can go to and feel free and feel at home. Home is where the heart is. That's why we say there is no place like home. My dear people of Ambazonia, I want us to end with this gentle lady that I used last week.
We to battle with warriors. I came with great men. I came with champions. I came with men who are saviors, protectors of their clan. I came with great and real men. What I see here are weaklings, banana stems. What is it? You're tired? You wish to go home? Go home to your wives and children who are eagerly waiting to hear the good news that we won this war, and tell them, like weaklings, we lost the war. No! No. Because I am the leader of this war, I say this war is not over until we win. I would rather die in battle than die on my knees begging another man for my inheritance. We fight for our people. We fight for our rights. We fight for freedom. And I say we battle. I say we battle till we die. I say we battle till we win. I say this war is not over until we win. Warriors, on your feet. Pick up your weapons. We to battle.
So, this is a very moving message and a serious reminder that we really have to continue to battle until we get to where we are supposed to get to. Let's end with this. The jungle is not for the timid. It belongs to those who refuse to surrender. The jungle is not for the timid. It belongs to those who refuse to surrender. We have to work hard. We have to remain steadfast. We have to continue to put in our all until we get what we want. I want to thank each and every one who made it to this show today. Share the link as much as you can so that our people will watch and be edified, so that our people will share this message, so that our people will understand the need to continue to fight until we get to where we intend to get to. To God be the glory. Thank you. Once more, happy Palm Sunday.